At the beginning of Chapter 10, soon, the Taihang Arc burst forth from an abyssal ruin, eerily similar to the ruinous abyss of the immortal Forsaken Land. For a fleeting moment, it traversed the immortal plains. Inside the Arc, Lin, already standing at death's threshold, smiled. A smile born not of relief but of fulfillment. He had finally entered the cultivation world, even if it lasted only an instant. To witness it before dying meant that his ninth life had not been lived in vain. And so, without hesitation, he activated Hanjin, ending the simulation. Lafon was deeply satisfied. 9 lives, nearly 500 long years. At last, he had brushed against the threshold of cultivation. According to his original plan, he was supposed to accelerate the charging progress immediately. Yet, when the list of selectable retention items appeared, his thoughts wavered. The system offered him 4 new options. Then his eyes froze. Among them, the halting steel fragment. Shock rippled through him. After a brief moment of contemplation, Lin made his choice. He decided to retain the halting steel fragment, not for power, but to verify a bold conjecture that had long lingered in his heart. And with that decision, his 10th life began. Since he did not choose to accelerate charging, the Hanjin system would require 20 years to complete its charge. In the 3rd anchor year, Lin arrived outside Shenhong's tomb. This time, he did not use the immortal mortal miasma to force his way inside. Instead, he directly retrieved the halting steel fragment from the Hanjin system. The moment the fragment, brought from a previous life, manifested in the world, a wondrous phenomenon occurred. It began to slowly dissipate, like ice melting beneath a blazing sun. At the same time, the formation inside Shenhong's tomb, generated by its original fragment, visibly strengthened, just as Lin had anticipated. Mystical objects of heaven and earth possess absolute uniqueness. 2 identical mystical objects cannot coexist. Yet, through the power of the Hanjin system, he had forcibly created a duplicate. The consequence was inevitable. The 2 fragments resonated, merged, and ultimately became one. Only then did Lin command his subordinates to deploy the immortal mortal miasma spray and break into the tomb. The process was arduous. The formation's strength had clearly increased, and it took considerable time to wear it down. Once inside Shenhong's tomb, the halting steel fragment appeared largely unchanged, save for being slightly less damaged. Still, the Hanjin system could not absorb it. From the looks of it, the fragment would need further restoration before it could generate new energy for the system to draw upon. Lin stored this strengthened fragment within the Taihang Arc, treating it as a vital asset for his future journey into the cultivation world during the 20th anchor year. As the Hanjin system neared full charge, Solifan acted without mercy. He launched a sweeping investigation, purging corrupt officials and powerful landlords alike, confiscating the gold, silver, and jewels their families had hoarded over generations. He understood clearly, even upon entering the cultivation world, he would still have to deal with mortals. And mortals required wealth. Gold, silver, valuables, these had to be prepared in advance. Food was also essential. Yet grain was the foundation of the nation, and his demands were immense. Memorials of opposition flooded the court. Solifan did not argue. Instead, before all civil and military officials, he expanded the Taihang Arc to its maximum size, suspending it directly above the imperial palace. The moment the common people witnessed this immortal spectacle, they knelt and kowtowed in fear and reverence. The officials' attitudes changed instantly. They no longer resisted, only complied. With their proactive cooperation and the execution of profiteering merchants, the Taihang Arc was eventually stuffed to the brim. Preparations were complete. Lin severed his final ties to the mortal world. Piloting the Taihang Arc, he once again ascended into the skies above the ruinous abyss. He calmed his mind and allowed the Arc to autopilot at a constant velocity. Only a few hours passed, yet to Lin it felt longer than the hundreds of years he had lived before. The tearing sensation of crossing between worlds surged through him. This time, however, he endured it, adapted to it. After a long wait, he finally passed through the immortal extinction great formation and arrived in the cultivation world. But the moment he saw his surroundings, confusion seized him. This place was entirely different. He could not find any corresponding sea on Kohong's map. For now, he set the question aside. Step by step, that was the only way forward. Concerned about the dwindling spirit stones powering the Arc, Lin searched desperately for signs of civilization. He flew across the vast sea, choosing directions at random. 7 days, 7 nights, nothing. After more than 10 additional days, the Taihang Arc's speed began to slow, its energy nearly exhausted. Just as despair crept in, a faint silhouette appeared on the distant horizon. A ship. Through his telescope, Lin fell silent. The ship was sinking. A massive hole gaped in its hull, 2/3 already submerged. Dozens of people struggled in the surrounding waters, crew and passengers alike. One passenger shouted, telling the others not to panic. He claimed he had already sent a signal to an immortal master who would soon arrive to save them. Lin's heart skipped. A plan formed instantly. He recalled the Taihang Arc, leapt into the sea, and quietly swam toward them. Blending into the crowd, he pretended to be barely clinging to life. Soon, the immortal master arrived. Hovering above the sea, his figure blurred as though shrouded behind gauze. His face and clothes were impossible to discern. Lin joined the crowd, pleading to be saved. The noise became unbearable. With a thought, silence fell. Lin realized he could no longer make a sound. With a casual flick of a finger, the sinking ship rose from the water, its shattered hull repairing itself in an instant. moment. A wave of the immortal's hand followed. Everyone, including Lean, was hurled back onto the deck. The immortal master then demanded to know who had sent the signal. A man named Such Chongyu stepped forward, bowing deeply and addressing himself as a lowly one. The immortal master asked if he understood the rules. Once they arrived, whatever happened would have nothing to do with him. He had never seen them. He knew none of them. Such Chongyu respectfully agreed. The immortal master said nothing more. With another wave of his hand, the ship shot forward at astonishing speed. Lean was awestruck. He could not discern the technique used, nor did the Hanjin system register anything. The immortal master stood silently at the bow. The ship sailed on. Half a day passed. After night fell, flickering lights appeared ahead. An island, prosperous and grand. Hundreds of ships filled its harbor, yet their vessel bypassed it entirely, circling to a desolate rear shore. Entering a narrow waterway, the ship slipped into a natural karst cave. After navigating the darkness, it finally stopped. Once stabilized, several burly men, dressed in black, boarded the ship. They ignored the immortal master completely. Forcing everyone to disembark, they led them into a vast hall and announced that they would rest there for the night. Food was plentiful. They could eat freely. Then the men left. Among the crowd, a young man cursed their misfortune, lamenting the sea monster attack that had killed more than half of them. Another complained that his father had insisted on sending him here to cultivate. How could cultivation compare to music and pleasure? He even boasted that he was the son of the Prince of Jianan. What riches couldn't he enjoy back home? What good was this god-forsaken place? Such Chongyu interrupted them sharply. What was the point of complaining now? Every family present had paid an enormous price to send them here. If cultivation succeeded, not only could they gain longevity, but they might one day return home, freeing their families from mortal shackles. Only then did Lean fully understand. They were all like him, mortals exiled from lands of immortal extinction. The difference was, in their lands, the cultivation world was no secret. A mature smuggling route already existed. At that moment, someone clapped Lean on the shoulder. The sudden contact startled him. The burly man asked what official post Lean had held in Dali, remarking that his face was unfamiliar. Or perhaps he was a wealthy merchant from one of the provinces. And that brings us to the end of this part of my simulated path to immortality.